Hey everybody, Loremaster of Sotek here, and it's been a while, hasn't it? Since we've just kinda sat down and chatted as a little community amongst ourselves. So, I have been busy lately, as I'm sure many of you have noticed that I've been pretty quiet on most fronts. Maybe you've seen me around in a couple of live streams, or you've popped by for the occasional one. But I, kind of took some time off to focus on painting and playing in my local tournaments. I joined the Texas Masters League for Age of Sigmar, so I've gotten back into competitive play, and I've been having quite a bit of fun with that. But, as I'm sure most of you are aware, times are changing, to say the least. And there's some kind of nasty stuff going on these days that is going to result in a lot of us being home for pretty long periods of time. For who knows how long. And the silver lining to that is that means that I finally have time to be home and get back to doing what I want to be doing and have a lot less social obligations that I have to worry about fulfilling anymore, at least for a while. So I wanted to really sit down and make a plan for how I wanted to move forward with the channel, because I just kind of took some time to do some other things, and I feel refreshed, I feel ready, I feel full of ideas and energy, and I've been just really enjoying reading and writing again, and have been finally getting a lot of work done on some scripts that have been sitting for months on the back shelf. So I wanted to take some time to just check in with all of y'all and let you know what's coming up here on the docket really soon, and also to, well, yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Just to let y'all know what's going on, let y'all know what to expect coming up, and that there's going to be lots of stuff for y'all to enjoy while you're in quarantine or practicing good social distancing tactics. So let's go ahead and dive into it. The first thing worth talking about is that the Ogre Q&A series is pretty much done, as in most of the questions have been answered, so it's ready to start being recorded. So for those of you who have been waiting for that, there were of course a ton of questions. I don't know if we're going to answer all of them, but at the very least, I'm going to go through it and kind of try and move all the questions into approximations. So, questions that are very similar are all going to be slapped into just being an overall question, maybe to try and cut down on just the amount of time it takes to get through everything. And then we'll kind of see where we stand there. But you can expect the first episode for the Ogre series probably to come out this weekend. I'm going to go ahead and say Sunday, though maybe if some things work out I can get down on Saturday. But after that, I am really happy to announce that I'm going to start working on something that a lot of people have really wanted to see, which is basically a top 5 series focusing on Warhammer lore. So I'm going to go ahead and just I have an image here that's giving a hint about what the first top 5 is going to cover. But this first episode will be later this week, so I hope you guys are looking forward to that. The videos are just going to be ways for me to get to discuss certain topics within Warhammer Fantasy and just kind of flex on some really fun and interesting lore tidbits, which I know is what a lot of you originally came here for. While I'm on the subject of YouTube, I do want to take a minute to say that I have decided, so most of you probably know, if you've caught my live streams, that I basically downloaded Restream and have used it to, whenever I'm streaming, I'm always streaming on YouTube and Twitch, no matter what. But recently, I have grown less fond of that method. And the reason is, there are a lot of games that I play on my free time, like Warhammer Underworld Shadespire, which I've been very addicted to lately for the competitive ranked mode. But other games that I really don't want to put them on YouTube because I feel like they're just going to clog up a lot of space and potentially hurt the channel, if nothing else. So I think what I'm going to do is I think it's time to separate the YouTube channel and the Twitch channel for a while. Of course, if I'm streaming something like Total War, I'll probably still use Restream for both. Or it might just be exclusive to YouTube. But most of the time, it's probably going to be on both. But things like the games I have up here, so Vermintide 2, Shadespire, and then there's been a really, really big push of new people on Warhammer Online Age of Reckoning, or Return of Reckoning, which has been doing really well and is very active right now. I'd really like to get back into playing that on nights that I'm feeling up to it, but those are all things that I don't want on the YouTube channel. So if you're interested in kind of either joining me for live streams, whether you want to play with me, or whether you just want to watch while you're doing whatever it is you're doing, then I will have links to both my Twitch and my Twitter down below, and those are the best places to follow me because I'm really trying to be good about tweeting, you know, a little bit before I go live, or at least a few hours when I can. That way people can have a heads up and, you know, can get food or whatever. That way you can just sit down and enjoy watching. But I'm going to be spending a lot of time on Twitch, like probably every day. I'll be streaming, every night I'll be streaming on Twitch. Whereas YouTube, I really only want to stream on here if there's like a plan, you know, whether it's a campaign or whatever. But that's what we're going to do for now. And we're going to kind of see how this all works out. But speaking of live streams on YouTube, the other thing I wanted to talk about is, so we recently started a Vlad von Karstein campaign that I'm sure a fair amount of you are aware of, but I'm thinking I'm probably gonna start that campaign over, but move it onto the beta build, because I do want to play the campaign, because it's what a lot of people voted, a ton of people voted for, once we got through all the votes, but I'm just really not a fan of the current public patch. Like, I hate it, because it's really unbalanced in the single player, where you just it's a slog, because all of the good guy factions are just curb stomping the villainous factions. So when you're playing a villainous faction like Vampire Counts, it's just the worst. It's just the worst. So I want to restart that campaign, but on the new beta build, because I've played a fair amount on it, and it feels better to me for overall balance between the factions. And plus, I want to check it out and really be able to talk to you guys in depth about my thoughts on it, because they did change the gameplay tremendously in the new beta. It is wildly different, but so far I'm really enjoying it. Beyond that, another little set of videos that are going to be coming out is that, so this Wednesday, which is tomorrow, I'm actually going to be releasing a video that a lot of people have been waiting for a really long time, but I finally was able to sit down and get my thoughts out on it and get the audio recorded, so all I need to do is put some footage with it, and it should be good to go. But I'm going to be starting a weekly series on Wednesdays called the Sotek Rants series. And basically what they are is, it's just, I'm going to focus on a topic that has to traditionally do with Total War, but sometimes it might wander out of that. But for the most part, it's going to be me talking about things that I would like to see changed, or things that I have a problem with, and just kind of going ham on it. Not to the extent that it's like a nerd rage kind of video, but to the extent that there are a lot of issues that I would like to address and have a public discussion on, and get people's feedback, and maybe even, hopefully get CA's attention to maybe fix some of them. So tomorrow, for instance, I'm going to be doing what I call the Lizardman problem, which is that I feel like the TLDR, until tomorrow at least, is that the Lizardmen in campaign have a ton of problems, especially the newest two DLC factions, Ten and Juan, or the Red Host, or the Cult of Sotek, and then Nakai and the Wanderers. I feel like a lot of that stuff is in a really bad place right now and needs to be readdressed. And we're going to talk about that. So look forward to that tomorrow. After that, so that'll be tomorrow. You can expect the first top 5 later this week, and I'm hoping to get one of those out every week or 2 weeks, depending on how in-depth the subject is. I already talked about another series that I want to start with is, I know a lot of y'all are waiting for Quick Head Taker, which I've been working really, really diligently on lately, and hopefully that'll be out before the end of March. Especially because hopefully I found someone that I think is going to do a good job for editing videos, but we'll see how that works out. So it might be a little different than what y'all are used to, but we'll see what happens. But I know a lot of people have been waiting for Queek, and I've finally been able to get to the point where I'm able to write multiple pages a day again, instead of just 1 page every week, maybe. Which, you know, with my scripts usually being in the ballpark of like 40 to 60 pages, yeah, it takes a while. If I'm not in the right mindset, it takes an eternity to crank out those in-depth character videos. But, so that's going to hopefully be out before the end of March. But what I want to do is, I really don't like, and I'm sure nobody likes, the large gaps that have been appearing between the character videos, just because I feel like each one of those I make tends to get longer than the previous ones, and because of that, they just take longer and longer and longer, which is not terrible, because the quality's also gone up with every single one of them, but, you know, I really would like to fill that space with smaller form videos, so I would like to try doing a mini-series here very soon, like in the next week or 2, that's going to be focusing on more minor characters that you can find throughout Warhammer lore and even the Total War games. So, for instance, I'm really wanting to do a mini-series focusing on Wolfheart's Hunters, the 4 basically special characters you can acquire in the Marcus Wolfheart campaign, because those are all vaguely established characters, and some of them are more interesting than others because Creative Assembly kind of melded multiple characters together to make some really interesting stories. So we're gonna try that, see if it works, see if I can get like at least solid length videos out of it. I don't know if it's gonna be an episode for every character, or if all 4 of them are just going to be combined and it's just going to be like the Hunters and it's just in 4 parts. Or you know, like a single video that has all 4 of them, or if we're going to split it up. The last things that I want to talk about is that I also am going to start a book review on Age of Sigmar Battle Tomes. It's something a fair amount of people who are familiar with the channel have been requesting for a while, and because I have been like neck deep in Age of Sigmar competitive play lately, so I would really like to talk about that more on the channel. Talk about like when new books come out, my thoughts on them, if I think they're competitive or interesting, what kind of builds I'd like to take with them, how I think they'll do in the meta, all that kind of stuff. I'd really like to start having that be a part of what I do here. Especially since hopefully once the pandemic passes, there's a local hobby store here that's setting up a live stream setup for tabletop Age of Sigmar games, where I could go and play my games live and y'all could watch and see like the actual, you know, it wouldn't be Tabletop Simulator, it would be live games, which would just be incredible. That being said, I will say don't expect any Age of Sigmar lore videos anytime soon. I really don't want to touch Age of Sigmar lore for a while until I've at least finished the Carrick 8 Peaks series, which has been going on for like 2 years now. So once Carrick 8 Peaks is done, we might jump back to Age of Sigmar to like hit the Age of Chaos and some other crap like that, but not till then at least. And the last 2 things are when the next DLC drops, which will hopefully be in April, is my guess, because we just got the newest 3 Kingdoms DLC, so we're likely looking at a fantasy DLC next month. I have talked to Turin, and I am 99% sure that we're going to be doing a versus campaign. So hopefully you guys will all look forward to that. It should be pretty good, because although Turin, I have no issue saying, is a better player than I am when it comes to the actual like battles and stuff, I think I can neuter him pretty hard on the campaign map and slow him down enough to grant me some wins, but we'll have to see how that goes. And then finally, the last thing is that next week, probably the end of next week, the next episode of the Who Would Wins series is going to come out. And I wanted to go ahead and to build up some excitement for it, and of course let you guys know who's going to be fighting. That's how we'll end today's video. So thank you all so much for watching. I'll go ahead and introduce the matchups here in just a sec, and I would love so down in the description, let me know what you think of all these ideas. Are there ones that you're particularly more excited for? Are there any that you're not excited for? I'd love to know kind of y'all's thoughts on this kind of proposed schedule or calendar, or at least vague idea of what's going to be happening. And I would also love to know who you think's going to win, which of the matchups you're the most interested in, and why. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into those. So for the first matchup, we're going to have Nakai the Wanderer, the great big bad Kroxgor himself, versus Throg the Troll King. So it's going to be kind of a King Kong versus Godzilla situation. And it's basically, I'm going to be really interested to see if y'all think Nakai's, sacred godly powers and his immense bulk is going to be enough to overwhelm Throg's mutant regeneration and, magically acidic bile. Then in the second matchup, we've actually got a pretty amusing one in my opinion, though I think it actually will be super close. I think all of these are going to be super close. I'm really happy with the matchups. But the second match is going to be Felix Jaeger from the Gotrek and Felix series. So, the man himself versus Tretch Craventail of Clan Rictus. So, we've got kind of one of the more cowardly and less impressive Skaven characters, but still a noted fighter, and Tretch does have a pretty good history of murdering his opponents in rather devious ways, versus the although not legendary, but certainly skilled and capable of handling himself warrior in Felix. So I'm curious to know who you think is going to come out on top of that. If Felix, without Gotrek to protect him, is going to be enough to defeat the Skaven representative of Clan Rictus. For the third matchup, we're going to have a pretty heated contest that I think will have an interesting ending, because there's a lot of difficult thoughts going into who's going to come out on top. But it's going to be Ungrim Ironfist, the Slayer King of Karak Kadrin, versus Kolek Suneater, the most lethal and active of the ancient Dragon Ogre Shaggoths. So that one should be pretty fun. It's going to be kind of the ultimate monster versus the ultimate monster slayer. And really looking forward to putting that contest in and seeing how everyone thinks it should end, but of course how I think it should end. The fourth matchup is going to be one that I wish had played out in the end times, and it should have, and I would have loved to see it, but unfortunately we didn't get to see it. But it should be a really interesting contest of two very, very different characters. We're going to have Deathmaster Snitch, the Master Assassin of Clan Eshin, versus Chacox, the Eternity Warden, the most skilled and determined bodyguard of all the living Temple Guard of the Lizardman race. And then for our last matchup, we're going to have the Battle of the Mad, which is going to be really, really fun, and it's going to be almost impossible to predict how exactly this would work out. So it'll take some pretty interesting thoughts from a lore perspective, which is going to be Queek Headtaker, the insane warlord of Clan Moors, versus Luther Harkin, the Pirate King of the Vampire Coast. So I hope you guys are really looking forward. Those are the 5 matchups. I'd love to know your thoughts on which one you're the most excited for, which one you're the least excited for, and who you think is going to win each of them or whatever. So with that, thank you all so much for watching. That's going to be it for today's update video. I'll see you all tomorrow for the first of the Sotek Rant series, and then I'll see you later this week for the beginning of the top 5 series, and then other stuff will come out as it's finished over the course of the next 2 weeks. And hopefully we'll have Queek out sooner rather than later. So thank you all again, really, for sticking around and subscribing and liking videos and watching stuff. I hope you're revisiting some of those older Legendary Lord videos if you're stuck at home with nothing to do while you're painting models or just reading a book or whatever. And yeah, I also want to, of course, give a special shout out to all the patrons over on Patreon and people who are members here on YouTube for your quiet but very noted and appreciated support. I know I don't talk as much as I should about that because I'm stupid and I tend to forget little things, like including a very heartfelt thanks in every video, which I need to be better about. But I do want to say very much thank you to all those people who have continued to support through thick and thin, and I really hope there's going to be a lot of really exciting stuff coming out, just a bunch now, and of course those people are going to be seeing a lot of these things earlier, especially the bigger lore videos, like Queek of course will be out as early as possible for them and be exclusive for a little while and stuff like that. So thank you all again so much for watching. I will see you in the near future, and until then, have a great day guys. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Bye.